Hey guys, MASKED here bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so I'm checking up here. I just thought I'd show you guys. So I posted the Bardock full level 10 links yesterday. I say Bardock, of course, it was the SAIYAN, as we all know from his super attack animation. He is not Bardock. How could I get so confused? And you see, because of that, I had posted this hilarious tweet about how it's weird that his best link partner is Raditz, even though the two characters have nothing to do with one another. Big brain. So, shout out to our boy Silly Nolar over here. You guys know him. He replied with Extreme Tech Super Battle Road with Raditz and Masked Saiyan done when? Now, those of you who've watched the video, I know a couple of guys have done them now for the Extreme Tech stage. A lot of people consider the Extreme Tech stage to be the hardest. And I did run a rotation with Raditz and Broly. And whilst that rotation works really well, like it was still kind of hard. And I talked about yesterday in my Masked Saiyan showcase that you know, he's not super good in Super Battle Road, especially when you're in fights 1 and 4 when there's more than 2 enemies, because then he basically has no passive. But I thought it would be kind of funny, right? So I decided to retweet Nolar's tweet, and I said, you know what? If you guys get 100 likes on this tweet, I will go ahead and make this video, because nobody wants to see that, right? Like, you guys out there, you don't want to see me suffer like that, right? Well, shit. Okay, so here we are jumping in for the this challenge. Extreme Tech versus Super AGL using Masked Saiyan and Raditz. So obviously we're going to keep them together as a rotation as much as possible. Obviously if I get to a point like, this is what I talked about at the beginning and in the showcase and all that, like if we're fighting multiple opponents, it's real bad, right? Even with an item active. Like, I can tell you right now, this was not my first attempt at doing this. It took me quite a few attempts to get this. The RNG really needed to be in the right place, because you're going to see here I don't activate an item in turn 1 because we are only getting hit on Golden Frieza, except for that one slot in the middle. So look at that, not even a 500,000 attack stat without the passive. And then even though we're lowering Vidal's attack, we take 86,000 damage from a normal attack. So, yeah. So, Masked Saiyan definitely a huge liability in this stage. That is, of course, why we got the challenge in the first place. But, obviously, we do manage to get it done this time around. And we definitely get some good luck along the way. Our rotations are kind of going to change around a little bit, or at least for the turn other than Raditz and Masked Saiyan. But I did decide to bring the Tech Broly along. I did try the event with the Prime Battle Cell instead of him, because originally when I completed the stage for the first time, I used a rotation of Raditz and Broly, right? So I took the original test was I just took Broly out and put Masked Saiyan in. But the problem is Broly is such a huge damage output unit for the team that I was finding that it was a lot harder to finish off the second fight without getting the Dokkan attack already, which is obviously not really what you want to do. Like, you want to save the Dokkan attack for the third fight if possible. But we get a couple of level 3 dodges from Cell, which is pretty decent. He's not taking the most damage at this point anyway, but, you know, still better to take 0 damage than a little bit of damage. Because the problem is there are so many units on this team that can take quite a bit of damage from not even from like normal attacks, if we don't have an item active, or we only have, say, like an Android 8, which, whilst it does give you a defensive buff, we are mainly using it for the healing, because it doesn't really give us a ton of extra defense especially when like super attacks are concerned, right? Because it's not a damage mitigation item. So even with an Android 8 active, there's units on the team that will still take like 200k from a super attack. So, but anyway, we got Raditz linked up with SAIYAN now. So Raditz, of course, one of the probably the best units on the Extreme TEQ team for Extreme Super Battle Road. Like Golden Frieza is probably number one. But then Raditz comes in. Not only does he have the damage mitigation, but he has that 100% chance to stun against multiple opponents. And then, of course, he has a chance to stun from his super attack as well. So we don't know until the start of the next turn which one actually triggered. But if the one from his super attack was the one that triggered, they'll still be stunned on the next turn, which is obviously incredibly useful. And we do get lucky here. We did get the 2-turn stun on Boo. And since only Boo is attacking in that first slot, Golden Frieza should be able to finish off Videl here. And then, of course, Perfect Cell heals on super attack. And then the 50% support cell, he's not going to have to worry about getting hit by Videl because she will be gone. And that means we can put a little bit of attack lower onto Boo as well, which will hopefully help to keep us safe here. It's gone pretty well for the first fight. Like a lot of the earlier attempts that I did, I was having to use like 2 items in every single fight. I think we've only used 1 so far. And then we get the transformation with Broly. The good thing about Broly, of course, is that he transforms on turn... Is it 4 or 5? He wasn't on rotation last turn, but you'll very regularly see him transform in Super Battle Road, which is good. But I do believe on this particular instance, he's not going to get a chance to actually get off that super attack. I go for the transformation, obviously, like especially in this situation when you've only got 1 enemy left. If you transform with Broly and then get that 24 key super fired off, chances are you are taking out that last person like 100%. He does so much damage. So of course Raditz manages to get the stun with his super, so we don't have to worry about taking any more damage. And then you can see the big difference. SAIYAN, now that his passive is active, 1.2 million on his attack stat. And he actually comes in here with the additional super and takes out Boo. So unfortunately, Broly doesn't get to go off in the final slot there with his big super attack. But there you go. So we got out of the first fight. We're about 80% HP. Pretty sure we only used 1 item, so that is actually very good going for fight number 1. I've definitely had it go a lot worse. So I was just double checking here because I couldn't remember if I picked a friend who'd actually leveled up their Frieza's links or not. Because I seem to remember the one that I picked didn't have any skill orbs. So, but obviously my Golden Frieza, I think some of his links are at like 2 or 3. So it doesn't really make a huge difference. And I'm checking Cell's defense here just to see whether I need to use an item. Because obviously we know the Golden Friezas are going to be fine. Cell probably will still take a little bit of damage, but because he heals on super attack, I decided to go for it here. And you can see without an item active, Golden Frieza does still take around 50k from a super, which is quite a lot, but it's not the worst. So he tanks, and of course both of them decide to super Golden Frieza, which is actually really, really good, because even though it is still close to 50k damage, if that super was on Cell, that would easily have been like 200k. And so Cell, I mean, he takes 70k from a normal attack, which is still pretty bad, but in a way it's good because it leaves us in a good spot here to now just go ahead and use an item on turn 2. To help protect Raditz. The attacks actually worked out really well here because only Gotenks is attacking after the first turn, or the first character, so we can get Raditz to stun Gotenks, and then basically we don't have to worry about taking any other attacks for the rest of the turn, which is really good. And then I think, yeah, we're not going to kill Gotenks this turn. So I've targeted Piccolo with SAIYAN to get a little bit of attack lowering on him. I decided to go back to Gotenks, put another attack lower on him, because obviously we don't know if the 2-turn stun is going to go off. And in the process of making that decision, I completely forgot to activate an item. I was going to use the Android 8 this turn. So fortunately, Piccolo did not did not super attack Raditz. So even though he took a fair bit of damage, it wasn't too much. We're obviously able to survive. And then Gotenks is unable to attack. So we spread out a little bit of damage. And so this does actually work out pretty well, because we did get the 2-turn stun. So it means now we're in a position where I can go ahead and use the item here. Yeah, I use a Princess Snake because the healing plus the extra little bit of damage mitigation means that Golden Frieza should basically take no damage in the first slot here at all. Plus it helps to defend Broly at the end, because Broly's defense is not great even after he supers. So if we use an Android 8, even after supering, his defense is not going to be too great. So by having the actual damage reduction active from the Princess Snake, I was hoping that would help protect him just that little bit more at the end of the turn. I probably should have retargeted Cell onto Piccolo, because I'm pretty sure Broly would have managed to take out Gotenks even without that extra little bit of damage from Cell, because he does quite a lot of damage here. And then of course he gets the guaranteed additional super against multiple opponents, so we get to do a nice little bit of extra damage to Piccolo as well. Yeah, see, he still took 40k. If we had the Android 8 up, it would have been quite a bit more than that. So not bad though, because we're still on very reasonable health. I decide, I think again here, to take a risk, because we don't have an item active now. But Raditz only has to take one attack, and then he is going to potentially stun. I'm banking on him to stun with his super, because we don't get the 100% chance to stun from the passive now. So he does come through with the stun, which is... this is what I was saying. This run, we had a lot of good RNG go our way, because this... yeah, thanks Nolar, because this really was a challenge. So... yeah, getting that stun RNG is massive, because obviously it means he is stunned for the next turn as well. And Golden Frieza getting the additional super. Nice little bit of extra damage here. Doesn't quite take him out, but he's still stunned. So now he can't really do anything to us at all. So I decided to put Cell in the first slot, because obviously Cell heals on super attack. So since whoever goes first is absolutely going to be taking out Piccolo here, I want Cell to super attack so I can get that nice heal off of him. So comes in, takes him out. We get the heal, finish fight 2, and yeah, we're up to what, 200, almost 250k. So we are at about 70. What was that, like 62, 63% HP? So not bad, and we haven't used a ton of items so far as well, which is really, really good. So unfortunately here, the attacks are split up quite a bit in the last slot. Both of them are attacking twice, so there's no real like clear target for who should be stunned and who should be focused on. So I decided to just stun Vegeta here, and then of course the rest of the attacks will get directed towards Trunks. Saiyan will lower his attack a little bit, which will help protect Broly. And then of course we have to go ahead and use an item here, so we use an Icarus. This means that Raditz will basically take no damage, because he already has damage mitigation anyway. And obviously it's mainly just to protect Broly in the last slot. And of course it will be active for the next turn. Now, unfortunately, as you can see, despite trying to only pick up non-tech orbs, I couldn't avoid getting the Dokkan attack here, which is bad, because Raditz is obviously definitely not a hard-hitting unit, especially when there's multiple enemies. When you get down to one enemy, he does get a bit more of an attack buff. But yeah, I couldn't really put Saiyan in the first slot, because he wouldn't tank anywhere near as well as Raditz does. And I can't really put Broly in the first slot either, because he wouldn't tank very well. He gets all of his defense when he super attacks. So unfortunately, it is a little bit of a waste of the Dokkan attack, because as you can see, we don't really do a lot of damage. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier with some of the other attempts, I would rather have at least gotten it in the third fight and done a little bit of damage to both of them at the same time, than have it be wasted getting it at the end of the second fight, for example. So, but yeah, Vegeta's stunned. Obviously no idea at this point whether we get the 2-turn stun or not. and then Broly comes in with a couple of 12 key supers on Trunks. Pretty decent for the first turn. We've done over half of Trunks' HP already, so that obviously works out very nicely. Now Vegeta, we did not get the 2-turn stun, but the great thing is we are still above 50% HP, so the Golden Freezers have their full damage mitigation active, and of course the Icarus is still active as well. So Cell's in the middle, so he doesn't have to take any hits. Unfortunately, we can't get a ton of orbs for him, which is okay in this instance. Obviously with Cell, you want to get a ton of orbs to make sure his defense goes up nicely, but it does also of course affect his attack. But here, honestly, his main utility is for the heal off of his super attack. So I'm not too fussed if we don't get a ton of orbs and it doesn't do a huge amount of damage, because it is mainly for the heal. And because he's not taking any attacks, we don't have to worry about the fact that his defense would have been pretty low this turn. So unfortunately, it does mean though that we're not able to take out Trunks this turn. But as you can see, we basically took no damage this entire turn. So that does work out very, very well. And then here we have one person attacking each in the middle. So what I'm hoping for here is, of course, we'll get the stun on Vegeta 100%. And then Saiyan absolutely has to come in here and take out Trunks, so that he doesn't have to take a hit from him. He has already been attack lowered, and of course Saiyan will lower his attack again. But without an item active here, we could potentially take a fair bit of damage. But I thought it was worth not using an item. Raditz was only taking one hit before he then stunned Vegeta. And then Saiyan will hopefully finish off Trunks, which I think he does. Yeah, we don't even get a crit, but he does nearly 1,000,000 damage, takes him out. And then, of course, that means that we can get an attack lower applied to Vegeta, just in case he didn't get stunned for 2 turns. And then Broly's going to transform again. So I think this is the final turn, because obviously Broly, once he transforms, especially if he just uses active skill straight away, does so much damage. And yeah, Vegeta's been attack lowered, so I feel like do I use an item here? Yeah, we still got a ton of items left, and we're about to finish fight number 3. So I actually can't remember if I do or not. Because the problem is, if we get supered, even in like slot 1, Frieza still takes a lot of damage. So what I decide to do here, because there's a huge cluster of orbs in the middle, I decide to grab all of those with Cell, check his defense. It's only 115k. So just to be super safe here, I want to make sure I keep my healing items, because they are more important. So I actually use an Icarus here. I'm not sure if that was the best strategy, but I mean, we finished the run, so it obviously wasn't hugely detrimental. But mainly the reason why I went with that strategy is so we can put Cell in slot 1, and then as long as he doesn't get super attacked, he's not going to take a ton of damage, especially because Vegeta's been attack lowered a couple of times. And so yeah, now we get a really nice heal off of his super. And then Frieza, of course, now with an item active, Frieza's not going to take any damage either. And then we pretty much know guaranteed that Broly, with his active skill and the full 24 key super, he is absolutely just going to take out Vegeta. And I guess the item usage was good, because he does super attack Frieza there, so we take 110 damage instead of like 50k. So every little bit of HP helps, because one thing I did not check right at the start, which we are about to find out, is that we got the absolute worst possible last fight for this team. Because, you know, like I've said, the whole point of this challenge, when there's more than 2 enemies, the Saiyan basically has no passive. So if you get one of the final fights where there's 3 enemies, you just have to focus on getting rid of one of them as quickly as possible, so that then his passive will be active. So in this fight, we have 5 enemies, so we have to get rid of 3 of them before his passive will be active. So this is very dangerous. It's absolutely the worst luck to get this as the final fight. So obviously we target Goku for the stun with Raditz. Go ahead and use a Whis straight away here. And then Saiyan will target Vegeta, because he's the only other one attacking him other than Goku, who will now be stunned. And then Golden Frieza target Trunks. I think Trunks and Goten have the least health out of the 5. And so Vegeta, fortunately, he super attacks Raditz, because obviously he's attacking in the middle, so he very much could have super attacked Saiyan, which would have been very, very bad for us. And yeah, there you go. There's that fabulous attack stat there, 600k with out his passive being active. And but yeah, Frieza, obviously now with the item active, Frieza's just all good in the last spot as well. Does a pretty decent amount of damage to Trunks. And then we can move on to the next turn. Did we get the 2-turn stun on Goku? We did. So that obviously is massive. The way the attacks are spread out here is not ideal, because there's a lot of attacks at the back end here from different people. So yeah, I decided to switch around the rotation here, because it means the second form Cell only has to take one attack, which is going to be from Goten. So I do target Goten with him so that we can lower his attack. Remember, the Whis is still active as well, so that should work out okay. And by getting those orbs, it did drop down that big cluster of orbs for TEQ Cell as well. So his defense should be pretty reasonable, plus the Whis item in effect as well. Gohan essentially wasting his super attack on Golden Frieza, which is exactly what we want to see. And so lower Goten's attack. Take 20k, that's not too bad for one of the 50% supports with no dupes. That is pretty decent for Extreme Super Battle Road. And then, yeah, Cell takes out Trunks, gets us a nice little heal. We are over 90% HP here. Unfortunately, though, as you can see, the attacks are not spread out very well. Even if we stun Goku, the other 3 attacks in the middle are all from different people. So putting Saiyan in the middle is probably guaranteed death. Putting him in the first slot is probably guaranteed death. So since we've gotten this far, and I have already gone through multiple attempts at this already, I think what I do, yeah, I'm going to decide to move him into the last slot here, because it means Raditz can stun Goku. And then Saiyan won't be getting attacked, because he just takes so much damage without his passive active that putting him in the third slot here, like I said, is literally, it's guaranteed death. So Broly is still going to take quite a bit of damage, but he won't take anywhere near as much as Saiyan would. So had to put him in the middle. Like I said, it's unfortunate that we got this fight, because if we'd only had 3 people, we probably could have taken one of them out by now. And then it wouldn't have been as big of a risk to leave him in the middle slot, because at least when his passive's active, he doesn't take anywhere near as much damage. Plus, of course, when there's only 2 opponents, even if there are still 4 attacks in the middle, by attack lowering one of them, that's a couple of the attacks that are attack lowered. Because he was being attacked by 4 different people, he could only attack lower one of them, and then all the others would be hitting him at full strength. So definitely had to do that. 100% we would have died if we left him in the middle slot. And so then we can put a little bit more attack lowering onto Vegeta. We've taken out Goten and Trunks. So now I just need to try and get rid of one more person so that we can actually have our Saiyan passive active. But because we floated him off, that means we aren't going to see him next turn either. So we do have 2 turns now. And I decide that since he has actually taken the most damage, even though he probably does have the most HP, it seems like the best idea here is to go for trying to take out Goku. And so I think, do I use an item here? We don't have an item active, so I know Frieza will be taking damage. So I think I do, yeah. Use the Android 8, get a heal, get a nice little bit of extra defense, and then we see what we can do here. Because, yeah, double digits from the normal attacks, that's kind of to be expected. But as we know, super attacks can still do close to 50k. And at this point, I was still a bit concerned, but I was starting to feel like we could actually get it done here. So I definitely wanted to be a little bit more safe than sorry. Because, yeah, even first form Cell, even after hitting Goku with an attack lower, still taking 57k. And then not quite taking him out, but he is super low here. Plus, of course, the Android 8 effect will be in play this turn as well. And Raditz, there's obviously still multiple opponents, so he's got his damage mitigation plus a pretty solid defensive buff. So how do I choose to play this out? Because I think... do I stun? No, I don't. I think I don't stun Goku. I take the risk here because Goku is attacking Raditz twice. So if one of those attacks from Goku is a super attack, I will of course regret not targeting him. But I think what I plan to do here is stun somebody else, because then Broly guaranteed, like with his first super attack, it's even overkill to be honest, but with his first super attack, Broly is absolutely going to take out Goku. And then he gets that guaranteed extra attack onto Gohan. So, and then of course Cell heals us up at the end of the turn. So 26k to Raditz, obviously not ideal, but we get the guaranteed stun on Vegeta. Goku of course does go ahead and super attack Raditz, so we take 140k. But then in comes Broly, almost 5 million attacks that. Goku, obviously, typical Super Battle Road. Goku knew he was about to get taken out, so he hit us with that super attack. And then 2.64 on the additional is very, very good. Considering this, my Broly has one dupe, so he is very impressive. Does a nice bit of damage to Gohan, and then Cell do a nice bit of damage to Vegeta and get us a heal. So we actually got back up above 50%, which is really good because it means that... Golden Frieza's passive will be fully active. And so I'm just trying to think what the best thing to do here is. Vegeta is stunned, so the only person attacking is Gohan in the final slot. So I think rather than take a risk here, I'll just put Golden Frieza in the last slot, because even if Gohan super attacks, we know Frieza's only going to take about 50k, which is not too bad. And we are going to be hitting Gohan with the attack lowers as well. I could have targeted Vegeta just to make sure we kill him this turn, but I didn't want to take any risks here because we are getting so close to the end. So since Gohan is the only one who's actually able to attack, I thought it would make sense to hit him with the double attack lowering here. And we even get a crit off of Marseillan, so I think Frieza might actually take him out. Yeah, he does. And he gets the additional super as well. So, fortunately, it didn't matter that we didn't target Vegeta. Because then, yeah, Golden Frieza gets the additional with a crit and just takes out Vegeta as well. So, there you go. It was tough. It took multiple attempts. But I managed to get it done. I hope you're happy, Nola. That was an absolute nightmare. And all of you people who liked the tweet and made me do this. But... hey, there you go. I'm the Super Battle Road King. I will attempt to rise to any Super Battle Road challenge. So that is Extreme Tech versus Super AGL done with Marseillan on the team. Didn't have a passive for a significant amount of the event, but we managed to get it done. So there you go. Make sure you smash that like button for this crazy achievement. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. There's a link to my Discord down below. Feel free to join there as well. And I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.